Hello, everybody. Good evening. Man, if you are not fired up, I'm not sure what to tell you. Maybe turn on the TV. Because there's a lot going on. It is Election Day Eve here at the Yard Sign. Thank you so much for listening, watching, whenever, wherever you may be doing so. Hopefully right before the election, because we have a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to be breaking down all the important races, both locally, statewide, and nationally. And, of course, doing it with a lot of fun and some interesting guests, as always. I'm Johnny Torres, your host. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Concerned Veterans for America for being our sponsor, as always. Make sure you check them out. Concerned Veterans for America. That's CV, the number 4A.org. That's CV, the number 4A.org. They're doing incredible work out there for our nation's veterans. And of course, they're taking on the VA, making sure that our veterans are getting the care that they deserve and they have earned. So proud to have them as a sponsor here on the Yard Sign. As you can see, pretty much everything is surrounding tomorrow's big day. We're going to talk about closing arguments from different candidates and talk mailers, because I'm sure if your mailbox was anything like mine, there's just mailers everywhere. We're also going to talk DeSantis versus Trump. The president is starting to kind of throw some jabs out there, kind of testing the waters on hitting DeSantis, who may be a contender for the primary in 2024. We'll break that down for you, see if it makes any sense. And Election Day, of course, again, if you haven't done so already, well, why haven't you? I mean, you've only had like a month of early voting, but we, of course, got Election Day tomorrow. We want you to turn out. We want you to get there early, 7 to 7. All right, whenever, wherever your polling place may be, make sure you get there, and because it's going to be a big day, and we know you're going to be a big part of it. And turns out the governor's going to be partying with us on Election Day right here in Tampa Bay. So we'll talk about that as well. Joining me on tonight's show, familiar faces, an able David Cabrera on the far right, and Kimberly Davis from Community Patriots. Hello, y'all.
Hey.
What's going on? I'm excited. Y'all are in red. I didn't get the red memo.
We are prepared for a party tomorrow.
Cool red on this side.
I know. Yeah, I see y'all are scheming against me. That's okay.
So does this make you a rhino? I don't.
I'm sure by someone's standards. I mean,
I'm glad I'm not at the rhino table tonight.
Nice.
But you guys are going to be at the big table tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
You're going to be running things over there for the governor, Tampa Convention Center. It's on Eventbrite. If anybody would like to join the crew.
That's not how that works.
What do you mean? Yeah, it is. It's on Eventbrite.
The crew. Yes.
The crew.
Yeah.
You can't just show up.
Anybody to attend.
But you got to sign up. You got to fill out the thing.
Yeah, but we're running the backside. We're running production.
So if you come up to the desk and you say that you are the biggest Yard Sign fan,
we'll still say no.
Then you get to go to the back of the line.
Right.
You'll get
you still got to get in line.
We have a separate line just for that.
But yeah, no, again, a lot of people don't know. I get this question all the time. Man, how do you get to go to all these like cool events?
You know the people that
get to, yes, that's one.
That's not true at all.
Not all.
But it's getting involved, right?
Yes,
I mean, just
involved.
volunteering.
Honestly, I will tell you, I just had a conversation with someone from the governor's team, and the people who have been door knocking, phone calling, sign waving, poll watching, doing all of those things specifically for the governor are not actually working tomorrow at the event. They're not volunteering. They are invited guests.
Done.
They are invited guests.
That's awesome.
And so it's not why we do the things that we do.
Right.
There are perks. Yeah, there are perks. And I personally, I don't sit still very well, so I like to work the events anyway.
Well, these are not events that we like going too. We love working them because we get to see everyone. We get to see people we haven't seen in a really long time. We get to actually talk to people real quick and just get reconnected with them. And that's what I enjoy about working the front desk.
Well, and the amazing part is being part of a campaign that can tell you on election day, you know what, we're good. Just come, have fun.
Have a seat,
you know, you did your job.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about? It's only 4:00. Yeah, we're good.
Well, and we'll talk more about that in a bit because, you know, the thing is also is the fact that people don't realize that for both the actual paid staff and the volunteers, that put in hundreds of doors, hundreds of calls. And I know you out there, you may be sick of getting phone calls. You may be sick of people coming to your door. But this is how elections are won.
It matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And trust me, campaigns have tried other ways, and it just doesn't work. I mean, look, I tell this
voter interaction.
I tell this story all the time. I'm in marketing. I'm a digital guy. I love all this digital stuff. But you know what? Nothing moves the needle like someone coming to your door or someone giving you a phone call.
It's true.
And until you've done it, you don't realize the impact you've had when you're at someone's door or you have somebody on the phone and you say, you know what? Yeah, I will vote for that guy. You know, thanks for coming by or thanks for giving me that call. And that's when you see America at work.
Thank you for at least making me think about it.
And it does work. It does happen. You do have an opportunity. Now, I understand. In a district where there's 100,000 people in that district that you have to get to, you're never going to get to all of them. That's almost impossible. That's what mailers are for. However, if you're walking to someone's door and they actually want to have a conversation, you can sway that vote. And every vote, especially in this election, every vote's going to count.
Yep. Voter engagement. It's the number one engagement. I mean, that's why I love this show because, and I love telling people that why do they call it the yard sign? It's because it's the number one biggest irrelevant political tool. Yeah. Because it literally cannot sway, cannot do anything, but it is the one thing that everybody wants.
Yes.
I mean, I still
and
have
God
DeSantis
forbid you don't have a yard sign. If your campaign does not have a yard sign,
God, it gets rough.
It's like, lady, like it's a year out before the election. No, where's my yard sign?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, some people are fanatical about it. And,
very.
But that's why we called the show the yard sign.
I love it.
And that's, you know, the great debate is always, you know, how much impact does he, because there are those neighborhoods and there are those campaigns where when you go down that street and it seems like everybody's got the same candidate's yard sign.
It pushes you to think about it.
Wait a second. Yeah. Okay, what's going on here?
It really is. There are some streets in South Tampa that both sides, you can tell it is a neighborhood divided.
Oh, yeah.
And others that you can tell this is, okay, the guy has to live somewhere around here. And like, because everyone has their signs. And that's how you know the community is really engaged. Yeah. And I feel that it's a conversation we have every time with candidates because they're like, we don't need yard signs. We don't need blah, 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 blah. In like the beginning of summer, everything else.
Though.
And as it gets closer and closer to the primary and then to the general, people really want yard signs because they want to show that they're supportive in some way, somehow.
Yeah.
And it's also, I think it's a little combative. So I was at an event on Saturday and I had mentioned that I had yard signs for our local candidates and also DeSantis in the back of my car because that's what I do for 6 months before every election. Yeah. And if we can get them. And he said, can I get two? My neighbor has a Christ sign and I'd like to put one on either side.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, but you know, if there are cops called, please do not bring my name into this. Like, I was not the supplier here.
If you get fined by your HOA, I don't want to hear about it.
I was not. It was not my job.
The best ones are when the property owner lives next to a polling site. Or next to like the operative house. Yeah. And so they're like, technically, even though they are probably within 150 feet of the polling station, they're allowed to have as many signs as they want because it's private property. Yep. And those things become Christmas trees when it comes to that. So like I can think of, there's one off of Bears Avenue next to a polling site. There's one at Town and Country next to a polling. Like I know a few of them. And you make sure you talk to those people.
In South Tampa.
You talk to those people ahead of time and you make sure that you're able to Christmas tree their lawn. And they're okay with it. They love it.
Yeah.
They love the attention, and I think that's what people like.
See, I want to be the guy with like maybe a couple acres, a few acres, not much. It doesn't have to be much, but where I can fit a semi-tractor trailer
You want the big
on
one?
it.
Yeah.
And then I can just drape a huge banner over it.
you mean you want a property off of I-4? That's
right.
what you want.
Exactly.
We know people. We
Yeah,
know
we do.
people,
We actually
Johnny.
do.
So
We know
yeah,
people.
for the
We do.
24 cycle, you let me know.
It's gonna be fun. The 24 is gonna be fun.
Oh my
That's
God.
a presidential. That's a lot of fun.
Don't get ahead of us. Don't get ahead of us.
I'm already tired. Okay.
Well, we're talking about, to open up the show, we're talking about closing arguments, which is, what really does your campaign at the end of the day, what's the big message that you want to get across to your voters? Democrats obviously weren't able to figure out their messaging in this cycle. It's going to hurt them very badly, even to the point that some consultants out there, these experts were saying, no, you guys own the economy, like the stimulus checks and hey, we've been doing this and that, and own at least what you've been working on or what you've been trying to accomplish. It's one of those things that it's like it seems counterintuitive, what I mean?
But they only own the economy if it's working in their favor.
Oh my gosh.
Right, but that's the thing. It's no self-respecting campaign is going to do that, right? Because they realize that the
Are there
truth is,
self-respecting campaigns?
well, the truth is that at the end of the day, people know that they have less money in their pocket. And it
Right.
doesn't matter whether you make $40,000 a year or whether you make, $240,000 a year.
Right.
I mean, the truth is that your money's not going
Everybody
as far
feels
as
it.
it used
Yeah,
to.
everybody feels it.
And
I'm tired of people telling me to eat Chef Boyardee.
that was the latest one.
What's Chef
To
Boyardee?
cut back. Oh,
It was a consultant. It was right.
no,
It was a candidate.
It was a candidate who said, in my house, when your gas goes up, your food budget goes down, and so we ate Chef Boyardee, and that's what every family should be doing now.
Wow.
So basically, a let them eat cake moment.
Let them eat cake.
Yeah.
It was a
That's how that
full-on
works. You know what?
let them eat
That's
cake.
how it works. That's how it should work.
Sitting in a $400 suit telling
Yeah.
me to eat Chef Boyardee.
Well, because the one thing Americans love is to be told what to do.
What to do.
Yeah,
right.
right.
Please tell me what to eat next.
Yeah. Mind you, there's people out there already working 2 and 3 jobs to put food on the table.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
And skipping meals, and it's you cut corners where you can.
Clearly, I don't skip meals, but we work hard. Yeah, sorry.
So
But-
looking here, so this is now I've sorted out these mailers. This is about from like the last week. Jeff and the fried bologna. I love me some fried bologna.
Jeez.
That's what they used to call me in college too.
That explains a lot.
That actually does.
These are just DeSantis.
That's just DeSantis.
Just Governor DeSantis.
or
Are they
against?
were they pro and con?
These are all like Republican Party of Florida. It's all it's from the governor's campaign,
Okay.
basically.
So they're all pro.
These are all pro.
You didn't get any of the hit
So
pieces.
no, they know.
No, he's
who
a
they're-
Republican. That's not good.
Yeah, they know who they're sending these
I have
to.
2 NPAs in my house, so I get a lot of hit pieces too.
What's interesting is, though, again, because one of the things that you have to do strategically as a campaign is you got to decide what size are you going to send. Are you going to send the big, like, hey, look at me?
Right.
But look, the majority of
look
them
at
are
that.
actually,
They fit.
these kind of
That's a
like
mailbox. That's a mailbox.
That
This
is
is
a
what, like a
mailbox. They don't
10,
stick out the
10
top.
by 5, 10 by, it's about 10 by 5,
Yeah.
10 by 4. So yeah, it's a mailbox. You're not going to get hit with the extra money because of the size. Oh, this is a cool one here. So
That is, I
Ooh,
loved
look
that
at
one.
that.
I got that
Yeah.
one. I loved
I
that
like that.
one.
this one would be a good one to get signed. This one would be a great one.
You
to
know
get
what? I didn't
autographed.
think it was that cheesy.
No.
it's not cheesy
I
at all.
didn't.
Well,
It's not.
it could have gone.
easily.
It
If,
was.
if he
it was
wasn't with the
actually-
kid, if he wasn't with his son, then yes, it would be super cheesy.
But
I think that works
It
very
was
well.
actually taken at a military event. I actually know the event that this picture was taken at, and it was very authentic and
Yeah.
very in the moment.
Yeah.
And I mean, seriously, every woman who saw Top Gun looked at this and went,
Okay. And
Well,
we're done.
well, it doesn't hurt that, doesn't hurt that he's a good looking guy. You know what I mean? He can pull it off. And that was
Seriously.
the other thing, is that he has the looks to pull it off.
Have you seen him in his all white
Had
suit?
he not. Oh, I thought you were about to say his all white boots.
Too soon. Whoever made that decision needs to get removed from the
The white
campaign.
boots. No,
Who would? Oh, I felt so bad. I was like, you don't wear new white boots.
No.
Yeah, but all these, I mean, there's aside from that one, there aren't really many.
I like this one
here that jump out at me. All right, you want to get down that one?
This is, and I didn't get this. I saw this tonight, Johnny, when you brought this in, but I was like, snatch-a-roo. This makes me so happy. Because here's what the Democrats are going to do to us, right? And then you turn it over and it's wham, bam, kapow, and all.
Yeah, I love it.
This made me so happy, and I wish it had come to my mailbox.
Oh my gosh! At the bottom, it's a blonde chick that becomes a superhero.
It becomes a superhero.
Look at that.
So by
I bet
voting,
she lives in suburbia.
By voting, because the Democrats have already called me a roach.
Yep.
They already called me a roach running to raid.
Who would have thought? You know what? I don't think they think at all what they're saying out loud. Who was that? Sunny is the one that said that on The View?
It was The View. Yeah.
She's an idiot. She's an absolute idiot.
She's an
completely.
Idiot. I literally made a meme of myself with green eyes and everything as a roach running to the polls.
I thought you were talking about the meme that you sent me.
I'll tell you, as a marketing person, design-wise, I love that one.
This is fabulous.
The comic book theme is so cool.
It's so millennial. It's so millennial.
Wham, pow, wow, pow.
Well, and it also shows you the races that they're really, obviously heavily invested in, which is, again, Biden, Charlie and Val. Those are the big races that, we obviously need to win, Biden next cycle. But, Charlie's going to go down. The Val Deming one, as we're going to talk about in a little bit,
You're
that's
going
to
take this one back,
be.
aren't you?
You can hold on to it. You're going to have to fight our producer for it. But
okay.
This one's cute. This was like another standout, but this was one from Casey DeSantis, the first lady.
I love that one.
It has pictures of their wedding, has pictures of the family, beautiful family photo on the back.
I think that one followed the commercial where she talks about breast cancer. So it was that was a follow up to that. I mean, I would challenge anyone to see that commercial where she speaks.
She's political gold. I mean,
she
it's
is.
like
She can speak. She speaks very well. The children are well maintained and like they're behaving is very well.
Well, they're at that cute age where even if they're running around on stage, they can get away.
You kind of let it go.
Yeah, you let it go. No, it's good though, and also you can tell that she's keeping her kids focused. Like, and that's her priority, and I like that.
But that ad, I mean that commercial that she did, where it's her sitting cross-legged on the couch talking about what Ron did while she went through breast cancer during a campaign and during all of this stuff. Like, I get goosebumps now. There's not a woman.
Well, she says that, and in another interview, she talked about making that ad, and she says that as soon as she kind of fully conceptualized it and knew what she wanted to say, she literally kicked everybody out.
Including Ron.
Because she knew that it was the only way it was going to truly come off genuine, and really kind of be spoken from the heart. And, I think she nailed it. I mean,
it was, again, I got goosebumps. I mean, there's not a woman alive who hasn't been touched by breast cancer, either herself or someone in her circle. And as a mom, just had her say, my husband was there to take care of my children.
Yeah.
I mean,
right. While being governor,
while campaigning, while doing all the things that he needed to do for our state, and not a step, not a hitch, not a nothing.
So I remember when no one really knew what was happening. They just knew that the governor was no longer as visible. He wasn't doing as much.
Yeah,
people were giving him.
They were all speculating.
They were giving slack about that. Like, what has he done? Like, I remember this. And I was like, there's something else happening, because he wouldn't just disappear for no reason.
Yeah.
It wasn't you're in the Andes somewhere doing God knows what for other governors. But as soon as and then you realize what happened, you're like, the amount of crow people are having to like eat right now, because they were making hard speculations on him and the marriage and everything else, when really she was going
big criticisms but again, looks like the governor is really going to be leading the way here on Election Day. People are projecting about a 10-point win, which is huge, because I don't think only Jeb Bush has ever won the governorship by about 10 points or more.
Has it really been that since double digits?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
And, Jeb kind of started the whole Republican wave. Excuse me. Despite what some Republicans nowadays may think of him, it is thanks to him, and that we have the Republican leadership and legislature that we do today, even looking at a supermajority.
A lot of judges too.
Absolutely. And he really brought what is today's conservatism, to Florida. Some kind of outliers. We've got, and I mean outliers spelled both ways, because we got all for transportation here,
Oh, Lord Almighty.
which is nothing for transportation, because it's just slush fund money. These guys kept pushing, kept spending the money.
And they'll keep unless we
you know,
start really actually taking back these bodies that are pushing these taxes.
Which is county
this will
commission.
come
Well,
up.
and I think what they're
This is
counting on
county
in this
commission
point,
time,
County
but it'll
commission.
come
yeah,
back.
I think
over and over.
what I think what they're also counting on is to do with the same thing they did last time, start collecting on it.
Yeah.
And then
then figure
hopefully
it out.
being able to just do whatever they want with the money.
Which they didn't do the
Which
first.
is-
They're not doing it now. Like
So,
They're still sitting on 500, no, about
Yeah.
300
$300 million.
because they had to pay the attorneys 200.
and shocking, the Tampa Bay Times, who I'm sure they advertised heavily with,
Yeah.
is recommending a yes vote for something that shouldn't even been on the ballot, because
Well,
the
it's
judge
a
already
stadium.
struck
We
it
all
down.
know it's a stadium.
stadium,
Just
yeah.
say it's a stadium.
Right.
You know what? Here's the thing. Say it's a stadium because I'll tell you what. When the Glazers put out the tax to get the Raymond James built, it was supported. It was like across the board supported
Right.
by the taxpayers to, yes, we will absolutely contribute. And it was finite. It was defined by a certain period until they raised the amount of money, and then it was done.
yeah.
If they came out and were honest about it, it might happen.
I think
then Vinnick might get his stadium.
that's what they did in Orlando. It was 2 sentences. Do you want to raise taxes for roads? That was it. It was 2. So at least they knew what was happening. You weren't saying, if you do this, then we'll get new streets
Right.
in Brandon and we'll get new intersections
That's
and blah
where
blah
the
blah.
sketchy- but that's
and
where
then
the
you're like,
sketchy
if you
is.
look at the, and I made the comment to one of our current county commissioners, and I was like, the verbiage is misleading. She's like, no, it's not. It's not misleading. Where it's telling you what's going to happen. I'm like, you cannot put the words Brandon and Riverview and South Hillsborough County when the percentage is like less than 3% is going to go to roads,
Right.
And you're pushing those areas because you know those areas are very much in need of a build out right now.
Yeah, but they will be the very least.
And
Well,
they
they're
will
saying-
be the very least, and that's the problem.
What's incredible to me is they're also
Lindsay
saying
says land the plane.
that that half the money is going
We're
to
not supposed to verbalize that.
Oh, sorry.
half the money is going
I'm used
to
to being on the other side, not this side. So I'm used to being production, not talent.
And there's a reason for that.
Well, the most ridiculous part to wrap it up is that the half the money is going to the actual projects. The other half of the money is going to be a slush fund for Hart.
It's all
And so
parts. My God, don't get me wrong. I understand that it's a necessity to have some form of transportation for those that are unable to be able to own a vehicle. But there's no way on earth you're going to ever find me on any kind of bus that's going to take me an hour and a half to get from my house in Seminole Heights
Right.
to downtown Tampa. It just doesn't make any sense.
No, and even today, the bus doesn't even fully cover the county. Like, you can't get to Waimama on a Hart bus, and there are parts of Ruskin that you can't get to either. The bus just doesn't even go there.
I would rather you focus on those parts of the city to allow for other options of transportation.
Agreed.
It's just it's too much.
The other big race that we'll talk about here in just a moment, but you can see by the stack of direct mailers here, someone is very, very worried about getting reelected, and that would be none other than Senator Janet Rifkin, otherwise known as Janet Cruz.
I can't believe you went there.
And
pulled out that.
I'm never going to drop that.
Love it.
So we've got some nice pieces of J. These are nice.
Look at the color. It's very nice.
They got the green and the khaki there for
You get
the
that.
green
You
beret.
get that shade of tan when you're working to serve the people
right.
of Fort Myers.
That's right. He did go down there
did
quite
go
a
down
bit. Served a lot of meals.
Still
He's still wrapping up. He's not done.
And that's
Yeah.
still my
Oh, yeah.
favorite picture of him. It's a nonchalant picture that someone took of him cooking in like the back of a trailer somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not like it literally is
believe Jeff
like
Fox took
I think
that
it was Jeff
picture.
Fox. And the moment I saw that picture, like that's the picture of the season of someone
Yeah.
doing their job, feeding the people, and not expecting any kind of recognition.
So these pieces came from the Florida Republican senatorial campaign. So it shows that, the
Big
quote
money.
unquote establishment, if you will, actually thinks that, he can win this thing. And look, these pieces are huge.
Yeah.
Now, Janet Cruz, on the other hand, also put out, similarly
Yeah,
sized
these
pieces.
are the really big ones.
But-
I don't understand them.
but when
They're
you're-
really
I don't
long.
understand. It
When
doesn't
you-
make any sense. sense.
But this tells me that this.
Who paid for it?
This tells me they are worried.
That's the Democrat. Yeah.
If you're a candidate
worried,
fighting
and
an
she should be
incumbent,
worried.
you have to do this.
Well, she has no record to run on.
Right, exactly. This screams like help. I may not get reelected.
Yeah. Well, and she shouldn't get reelected.
no.
She has no record
Right.
to run on. When she put out a piece online on one of her Facebook, it might have been that one of her PACs that put out a piece that it was a rainbow color and it said, "When women run, women win." And I changed it because I actually worked on Dana Young's campaign
Yep.
in 2018. And so I changed it to "When women," with a little carrot that says, "I like, run. Women
yeah.
I like, win."
Right.
Because she was not kind to women. She is not a fan of women unless you're on her side.
No, and the biggest
been a
part is that,
difficult campaign.
that her campaign got hit on.
It's been a rough campaign.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the things that her campaign got hit on was also the lies because they were just blatantly obvious. Like even the news outlets had to cover it. The guy has never been in office.
He's never been in office.
But yet somehow he is responsible for the cost of medicine
that's
skyrocketing.
how, that's how that works.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
It's like Collins opposed a common sense plan to cut. Where?
Where?
He's
Where
never
is
been
it?
It was
elected
the
to office.
Republican platform that
Yeah.
they quoted. Literally, it was a Republican platform that they quoted. There was another one that they did because I actually looked up all of those because in my free time, I looked up
no
all
time.
of those citations.
More
And
government control, Republican, really?
yeah. One of them that she quoted Jay about on the abortion issue was literally it was a Lester Holt nightly news, NBC News piece when the Roe decision came out. And that's what she quoted Jay as being against women's rights.
Wow.
It has had nothing to do with Jay. It literally was reporting on the Supreme Court decision to send it back to the states and not have it be federal.
But that's how sad, that's how
but
desperate
that's-
you have to be and how sad you have to be.
Seriously.
So with that particular district, I think they are pretty the state organizations are pretty happy with the fact that he's probably going to get that seat above Mrs. Cruz. I
think she's a man.
I know, Ms. I feel, wow. I'm going to say this. I think the Florida Senate D14 is going to be a get out the vote situation.
Yeah.
It really needs to be a get out the vote.
Who shows up?
Yeah,
Who shows up
and
to vote?
and so we
Right.
were seeing that. So we were at the Town and Country Library for early voting for the last few days, and you saw a lot of Hispanic men coming out and voting with their wives, and a lot of them were giving the heads, giving the high fives and thumbs and everything, and then they would walk after they voted, and then they would talk a little bit more in Spanish and everything else. And I had never seen that many Hispanic men in early voting. I'd never noticed it that prevalent, and I was surprised, even to the point that people were coming with their registered ballots, like they're thinking,
It's
oh, so I
already,
can,
so they
no,
had it
no, no.
all
So
filled
they're
out.
thinking that they can bring their registration forms to
Yeah.
then vote with their, and they're like, and again, these are people that are probably just became citizens or something like that, and so they just don't know the process.
Well-
and so we're telling them, we're explaining to them what's going on. We're like, you will do it next. I was like, well, we want to vote for DeSantis, and I was like, well, then grab a sign and wait
Yeah.
for a few hours, and they did.
Well, because Anibal, you know this, is that despite it being 2022,
Yeah.
your average Hispanic family, especially immigrant family,
Yeah.
possibly voting for the first time, guess what? Mom is more than likely still at home.
Right.
You're taking care of the house, making the meals, and if she does have a job, she's probably still doing all of that.
Yep.
But the guy who is watching the bank account, making sure there's enough money to put food on the table, is going to be dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
He's noticed what's happened
Of course.
these last 12 months. The fact that it's costing so much more for rice, it's costing more for gas,
Yeah.
it's costing more for tools, it's costing more so for everything.
And he doesn't want his wife going out to work.
right,
No,
right.
that's something that they have no desire for
Right.
because it is cheaper to have have one of the parents stay home.
Yeah.
It is cheaper, and luckily now in a 21st century kind of world, that has become an option. So
Right.
to the point to where there is actually now a baby boom because of it. No one was expecting, but there has now become a baby boom.
Yeah.
If you give families an option to be able to work at home, one of them will, and they'll be able to raise more kids. Anyways, besides the point of this, I think the breadwinners and those that are running the household are realizing how expensive it's become. Thanksgiving is right around the corner. It's going to be one of the most expensive Thanksgivings of all time. And people are really upset about this. And then you have the Democrats telling us, well, gas isn't that expensive. Well, inflation around the world is higher than I don't give a damn about what inflation is in Britain or in Russia or in Turkey, 57%. But I do care what happens here. Right. And the fact that you get the president saying, well, I'm more concerned about what's happening around the world than here. I'm like, buddy, you're not doing yourself any favors to be able to figure this out.
Well,
and while you're eating an ice cream. Right. You're talking foreign policy while you're eating an ice cream.
From Martha's Vineyard or whatever. Yeah, that's, is entitled, that's the picture of it. You look
Don't
up
get me started.
entitlement. You look up entitlement in the dictionary and it's a big picture of Biden with
Well,
ice
again,
cream.
the man has never held a real job. The man has worked in government his entire life.
And become a millionaire.
Yeah. Amazing how that happens.
I almost lost it with someone a few days ago because they were talking about, well, we don't want to talk about the Pelosi's and everything else. I'm like, how did they become millionaires? How did they become millionaires? I guess I need to run for federal government. We don't want to talk about Pelosi's. Okay. All right,
mind you, if you had to actually live on a congressional salary in San Francisco, you couldn't live like the Pelosi's.
At all?
No, not at all.
You couldn't live like anybody.
No.
Maybe
you could maybe
Georgia.
live like DuPap. Underwear and hammers, but
look,
there's a lot of problems.
And for not to go down that tangent, but man, for some reason the prosecutors don't want to show the body cam footage.
And it's a no bail.
Wonder why.
It's a no bail.
Girl, let's not start. We can get on this topic all day long, but I'm gonna say this: I am not
cashless.
I am not a conspiracy person, but there's a lot of holes in this whole conversation. You telling me the cops got there before the incident occurred?
All right.
Let's not go there.
One thing that happened over the weekend, certainly not a conspiracy, it was Donald J. Trump attacking our very own governor, Ron DeSantis, at a rally, nonetheless, to help other Republican candidates down ticket win this election day. It sounds bizarre, but it absolutely happened. And then it just started pouring rain for some reason. So I don't know if that's symbolic in any way.
No, God doesn't like ugly. That's what it is.
But, thanks to everybody for watching the Yard Sign. By the way, before we get into the next topic, don't forget you can also catch the audio version of the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Just search for the Yard Sign, whether it's Google, Apple, Spotify, Audible, Amazon. We're on all the major podcast platforms. Subscribe, like, follow, leave us a review, please. It's the least that we can ask you for, and we we love all the people listening to the audio version of our podcast. You're keeping us, among the top 150 podcasts in the country, and I believe that this year we're absolutely going to just hit that out of the ballpark. Our goal is to be in the top 100, I think, here within the next 3 to 6 months, and we can't do that without your help, so make sure that you subscribe. Also, be sure to check out our sponsors, Concerned Veterans for America. If you've ever wondered, how can I help veterans? How can I pay back veterans for what they have done for us or what they sacrificed for us? Get involved with Concerned Veterans for America. They're an incredible organization. They, again, advocate, especially when it comes to VA issues. They do incredible work there because, again, we've seen in Congress, it's actually quite hard to get the very people that we elect to advocate for our veterans. And so thank God we have organizations like Concerned Veterans for America. You can check them out at cv4a.org. That's CV, the number 4a.org here locally. Reach out to David Houston. He's the grassroots engagement coordinator or director, and you can reach him at dhouston@cv4a.org. Also, they have a couple of events coming up I want to share with you because, again, you want to get involved. You want to help out our veterans and thank them for what they've done for us. Well, this is one way to do it. They have some pretty awesome events coming up. Let me pull them up here. Where did you send them to me? All right, I'll find those in a second. But they do have some events that they want you to be a part of, and so we'll share those with you shortly. But
I'll post them on the Community Patriots site.
Yeah, and we'll post them on on our social media as well. But when people started talking months ago about the fact that there was some friction there between Trump and DeSantis, again, Raniba will tell you, we kind of blew it off. We thought, no, this is Democrats trying to start a fire where there isn't one. But the closer we get now to 2024, the bigger we see DeSantis becoming a Republican star outside of the state of Florida, because he is. I mean, we've seen him pop up in concerts and rallies all over the country for
he
other
was
Republicans.
up in New York with Zeldin.
Yeah, and the guy's turning into a star. And rightfully so. He's done an incredible job here as governor. But somebody pointed it out to me, and actually Jeff Brandis was the one who made this point, because he said DeSantis is going to run in 24.
I disagree.
And
disagree.
And he made this point. He goes, the problem is that you have to run while you still have
While you're
something
hot.
while you're
Right,
hot.
right.
You still have to run while you're still at the forefront of the media. You can still make news happen.
Yeah.
You can still win the news cycle. Once you're out of office, it's really hard to get attention. You're having to work a lot harder to get the attention of that voter. And if DeSantis has to wait another 6 years, not 4, I'm sorry. Yeah, another
28.
Yeah, another 6 years.
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot of time to make up.
Yeah, but you have to look at the life of a presidential cycle and look at what Trump's done, right? He's been out for 2 years. He's basically been running for the past 2 years.
No, right. Well, that's the thing. He's been running for the past 2 years.
So-
He's also an anomaly.
He
You can't
blows
compare him-
Yeah, you can't compare
Because
him
you
to
look
anyone.
at,
Right.
the example he gave was the 2016 election.
Yeah, and polling.
How many governors did we see? And even in the election before that, Bobby Jindal, right? You saw, how many governors did we see in these primaries over the past 10 years?
Yeah.
So I'll say this: I don't disagree with the position of this should be his. It would make sense for Governor DeSantis to run for president in 2 years. It does make sense because the enthusiasm and everything else going in that
timing,
direction.
right,
So
to
the
the
timing
timing.
makes sense.
Yeah.
However, we've already seen one general primary. We've seen already one primary where Trump takes all the oxygen out of the room. All of the oxygen out of the room. And he has a base of 30 to 40% of the Republican base. That right there, it makes it almost impossible for someone to be able to take out Trump. And he takes himself out
then
multiple
for Biden
times. Yeah.
to go back in, or whoever the Democrats.
And that's
decide to
another
put out.
conversation, because this is the thing. We talked about this before. Depending on how big the red wave is tomorrow tells you that Trump is announcing next week. Because that makes complete sense. Because now
He kind of already announced.
and he did
over the
already. He
weekend.
kind of already
He
did.
really did. He was like, "You'll be happy."
Which is fine, because
Yeah.
people are going to want to see that, because a lot of people that like DeSantis,
But it's not-
loves the governor, love the president more. Then they're going to go after that.
Yeah,
And I
and-
don't know how you fight 35 to 40% of the Republican Party.
Yeah, but again, you also got to think the fact that DeSantis is more palatable to independents and
I don't disagree.
I-
But you
yeah.
first have to go through the primary, and that's going to
But
be.
also, I don't think DeSantis is going to go into a
Now-
race that he thinks he can lose.
Now, look, there are
number
people.
one.
Yeah.
But there are people. For example, Rick
And
Wilson.
Rick Scott's already going in that race.
Well, Rick Wilson from Lincoln Project, right?
Yeah.
Who absolutely hates Trump and anybody, down
His whole mission in life is
downwind,
to- yes.
right? But he made a good point in the sense that no matter what he says about Ron DeSantis, right?
Right.
It's that his base, the uber Trump supporters are still going to support him no matter what.
Absolutely.
We had people wearing DeSantis shirts, waving his signs, still having conversations about when Trump is going to announce.
Yeah.
They are
We have
fanatics
people-
about the
we have
current governor,
people
but will
in
still.
DeSantis shirts and hats and all of that
Yeah.
at Trump rallies.
Yeah.
Oh no, I believe
That's what I'm
it.
saying.
if
It
you-
doesn't make sense for another Republican that doesn't have $1 billion
But
to
does it-
kill
does
Rick
at some
Scott
point-
to be able to jump into the primary.
Does at some point that brashness, that negativity, the name calling, like backfire?
With Trump?
Yeah.
It
Absolutely.
did. It did the
It
last
already
cycle.
did.
It cost him by 30,000 votes, and I think that's what pisses off people when you bring that up.
Right. So wouldn't you say that it could cost him the primary?
I don't know, because again, it was only
I
35,000
don't, but
votes.
I don't think DeSantis will put himself in a primary in that situation.
No.
Because you don't want to be number two. And Rick Scott's
Has already
making the
said that
moves.
he's gonna do
gonna
it.
run in 24.
To me, the reason I think this is done, this is already this
You think
movie
the
has
party will
already
let him
started.
not do it?
and piss off 30% of the
Oh
base.
yeah, I think they're absolutely going to run because again, we started hearing rumblings about this months ago.
Yeah, but from
And
Trump
and
to
neither
DeSantis.
and DeSantis never declined it.
Right.
He never dismissed it. Trump also. Now we've seen it officially on the record. We've seen Trump at a Republican rally dissing Ron DeSantis.
And it was
Just
barely
sanctimonious?
it was barely a diss. It was something he threw out.
Well,
Ron
he's
DeSantis
testing.
He's testing, but
He's
that's
testing, but is it his best work?
but the
No,
larger
I mean-
conversation is this: we've seen this game already once.
I would like to have a
and Trump
compilation of Trump's best
during
work.
a primary is very difficult. It's almost impossible to beat Trump.
The problem is
in
he's
the
going to get
primary.
primaried no matter what.
But not by anyone legitimate.
He's getting primaried by Rick
I think
Scott.
Rick Scott's legitimate.
No,
Rick Scott is not
he's-
legitimate. Don't get me wrong. I love Rick Scott. I think he's got great.
Well, I think
he's a great senator. I think he was a great governor. But there's no way that you could put the same energy of Rick
Not
Scott
one single
next to
Republican
Trump.
supported his.
There's no way.
I think Rick Scott in
Yeah.
his bank account.
Not one.
I think Rick Scott in his bank account and Donald
He'll
Trump
run
in
a
his bank account.
campaign. Rick will run a campaign.
We've seen plenty of people,
but he'll get beat.
We've,
But see, I
we've
don't
seen
think-
plenty of people dump millions of dollars. Bloomberg spent almost $500 million and got nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, but again,
This is a man that has multiple billions of dollars, and he had nothing. People are already
Well,
beyond
because
that.
Bloomberg was a flake. I mean, you didn't know if he was a Republican or a Democrat or what. I mean, he was not.
But that tells you that money doesn't. But that tells you money doesn't
Money
do anything
it,
anymore.
yeah. Money don't buy you love.
No, Clinton raised $1 billion over Trump's, I think, 700 million, and still she lost.
But
and
I
then
think
this
given
time around,
that-
Biden still raised more money, and there was a pandemic. If there was not a pandemic, we would be in the second term of Trump.
Because let's call it what it is.
That's the reality of
we
this.
We know that from Congress on down, that the Republican Party never wanted Donald Trump to be president.
That's
Correct.
not. That's not debatable. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if Ron DeSantis comes onto the scene, puts his name on the ticket as a viable option to
The
Donald
Republican
Trump,
Party will get
do you not
behind
think
him.
the establishment would get behind?
Of course,
Ron
but that
DeSantis?
helps
But
Trump.
that's not the voters.
That helps Trump even more. Remember, in the Republican primary, there are no super delegates. Now, in the Democrats, they can put their thumb on the weight and bring up Biden
Right.
above all the other ones that were running. But
Like
in the
they did with
Republican
Bernie
primary,
Sanders.
yes.
Yeah.
But with the Republican primary, there are no super delegates, which means that again, you can't beat 35% of the base. That's almost impossible. Don't get me wrong. I would love.
I think there's going to be. I think there has been some
a
erosion
Governor
there.
DeSantis presidency for 2024, but if Trump is going to jump in, it makes no sense for us to kill so much time.
Yeah, but I think
And kill
there's
a viable candidate.
And kill a viable
I think
candidate.
there's been some supportive erosion there.
Okay,
And then,
33%.
and then I think that there's still those Republicans who are turned off by Trump,
yeah, they
I
are.
agree.
who voted for him because they had to.
Yeah, and they'll vote for
Right?
him again because they have to.
No,
Yeah,
not
but
in a
then there's-
primary.
there's
It doesn't
not
Not
en-
if there's
There's not
if
enough of them.
primary, there will not be, and I will
There's
tell you right
not
now,
enough.
it's that Rochi running to the raid.
Yeah.
I just
White
don't
women,
see.
white women, suburban women base that is not going to vote for Trump in a primary. They'll vote for anybody else. This
I think-
is,
Yes.
this is why he lost in that base, in that
In Atlanta,
demographic,
in
that
Philadelphia.
demographic was because
Yes.
those women voted for Biden.
Correct.
And if you give them a viable option against Trump on the Republican side, that's who they're going to vote for.
Correct.
And so, but again, I don't think. I think we're going to be facing a completely
and we're not even
different-
talking about all the baggage he has now compared
Correct.
to back then.
Right. This
All the
is-
legal baggage he has right now.
I mean,
The legal
we walk
back-
into,
doesn't
we walk
No,
into
it
it.
the
doesn't
fact that
matter.
Melania
Like,
is
doesn't matter.
MIA.
It doesn't matter.
Nobody's
You
even
know
talking
what-
about the fact that Melania has been MIA.
I saw Melania
you
last
be?
year standing next to her. Next to her.
Wouldn't you be? If they
No,
were, if,
she's agreeing
I
with me.
had the
Melania's been MIA for months.
Melania's been. Well, if I'm sorry, if the government came and rifled through my underwear
Yeah.
drawer, I'd be MIA too.
No, of course. I mean,
Again-
I don't think she wants any part of
And
it.
she's keeping Barron as far away from this as possible.
Oh, yeah,
because
naturally.
she doesn't want another Fox News son.
I don't think she wants him to run again. Not that she gets to say it.
I don't think she gets to say.
No,
That's
she
a whole
doesn't
different
get to say
conversation.
that.
Again, I think
She's
we're
no Giselle.
I don't.
Yeah,
I bet the settlement there would be a little
I
bit
have a
different.
lot. Bullet. I have a lot more belief that the lawyers built a very good non-divorce clause of some kind with the Trumps more than
I don't know. All the former wives did very well with their prenuptial agreements.
It's a good living. It's
Yeah.
a good living. You know.
Good job. Good times.
I think I believe that there's going to be, and there already is, Trump burnout.
Well, I believe the children are the future.
have
So
Trump
let's continue with this.
I believe the children of the
So
future. Sweet baby
the national Senate committee has said that they are projecting between. I think it's going to be for the Senate. It will be a plus one
Have
or
we
three.
moved on?
Yes,
Okay, sorry, I have to check things off my list. Sorry.
So I believe that by the end of Tuesday, we will either be at 51 or 53. Scott believes that we're going to be at 57, which I don't know.
Rick Scott
says that. And if that's if that's what happens, then it's the wave of redness is going to be like the elevators opening in The Shining. It'll be that ridiculous of a wave of red blood. Literally, it'll be like the red wedding.
Well, then everybody who's in power in the Democrat Party
Gets
should
wiped
go home
out.
and cry.
But
Well, this is. I want to preface.
Can I ask a question?
Go
Because
ahead.
you said you believe by the end of tomorrow night.
I believe by the end of
How many
tomorrow
of these
night.
races, because of turnout? So this has been my big question. I'm sorry. Sorry, Lindsay. How many of these questions? I mean, how many of these races are?
So
do you think going to actually be pushed to a runoff in December?
There's only one that can be pushed off to a
that's
runoff,
Georgia.
and that's Georgia.
That's
However,
the only one?
However,
It's the only one that's likely to have a runoff.
Correct. A lot of them are
Nevada
going to.
doesn't qualify on a runoff?
Well, there's not more. Okay, so with Georgia, there's a third party in there that's staying in there. With Nevada, they conceded already. So I don't think there is a legitimate third party anymore in that part. So what's happening now is that they're projecting that we're going to probably win Nevada. We're probably going to win Georgia. We're keeping North Carolina, and we might actually take Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. People don't understand. It's a 50-50 right now. We just need to take one. If we take Wisconsin, we take Pennsylvania, we take one or two others, it's a landslide. An absolute landslide. So we're thinking between one to three when it comes to the Republicans.
Democrats cry.
However, with the House, they're saying it's going to be plus 25 and more. We only need, again, the margins of this last election cycle was +5 for Democrats and even split in the Senate. So that's not a mandate. That's why I get so upset when people say, "Oh, we won." You won by one. Not even.
Right.
You need the vice president to win. And even with the House, you need 5 to.
Are they
Like
they're
winning
really
by
saying
10,
25?
that's a mandate.
Are they really saying 25? Because Obama, when he got, in his words, not mine, shellacked.
40.
During his midterm,
40 or 37?
it was 27.
27.
So are they saying 24?
So they're saying, the polls are saying plus 25. I don't think it'll go beyond 30. The worst it's ever been was during the Bush Junior administration was plus 50, but that was also that was after September 11th.
Right.
So
that's why. Yeah.
That's why.
That's why. Yeah. Everyone went with the president.
That was that by far was the biggest shellacking, was plus 50.
Well, and I wanted to preface the topic with, and I'm not going to go into my own rant, which I really wanted to,
because that's never stopped.
Well, Bill Maher put out this monologue that, of course, he had a lot of time and help, in writing.
Wow.
But he put out this monologue where he basically, after all this time, because he's a liberal. Through and through, right?
But he's a frustrated liberal.
Right, exactly. And he's called them out, for all of their shortcomings, lately, to the extent that Republicans have been heavily sharing his content because he's been so critical of the left, especially when it comes to wokeness and, all this ridiculous absurdities that are going on right now. But then he goes and puts out this monologue last week where he talks about how this election could be the end of democracy, like all these other crybabies that we've been hearing about. That we've been hearing about. When it comes to January 6th, when it comes about this election, when it comes to Donald Trump, when it comes to, it's like, who are these people that are going to end democracy? Republicans, again, are the most patriotic people I know. We're not the ones trying to change the country for the way it was founded.
We don't change our color of our hair between our moods. Like literally, this is sorry.
I right, you know what? Listen, we're 24 hours out. I'm living on vodka and like
other
energy
V
drinks.
We'll share the meme that gives you more of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll say this. I was watching MSNBC, which I shouldn't have, but I wanted to hear what they were going to talk about.
You got to check out
because
Crazy Town.
if they're talking about a red wave, then you know it's going to be good. And the first thing he says, like this, the elections are tomorrow. First one's after the January 6th, blah blah blah. And you would have thought my eyes would have exploded as they were rolling in the back of my head.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I could just imagine the amount of people that are like, you know what? I'm done. And that's what I did. The moment I heard, I was like, I'm not going to watch this. This is too much.
Well,
I cannot put myself on that position of like, they're just constantly talking about that. And you know, we've always been those that broke the law and did everything else inappropriately and that did violence there, prosecute them to the full extent of the law.
Right.
But you're not going to say every single Republican is like
justice.
that.
It's not equal justice under the law, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
And that's where we really have to consider the fact that the media has become the third party. It is the media that has become the third party. I have this conversation. So my little sister, who I love and adore, is like literally you take everything I believe in and she's on the opposite side. And we had a conversation not too long, and we still managed to have conversations, not generally during election cycles, but we did manage to have a conversation, and she said, with all sincerity, in her heart, she said, all of those people who died on January 6th. And I said, all of who?
Right.
People who died on January.
There is such a revisionist history.
All those, who? It's revisionist.
There's a lot of Photoshop. There's a lot of Photoshop.
It is being pushed by the media.
Yeah.
And that's the media she watches. Mm-hmm. And so she truly, in her heart, she said, this is the biggest pivotal moment that we need to vote against all these January 6th insurrectionists. And because of all the deaths. And who?
But it's so natural to them. And I'll give you another perfect example. And this is what I love about social media, that these people are very accessible, right? Mm-hmm. They'll play like they don't see what what messages they get from people, and they claim not to read that stuff. They read it. You know they do, because they're the most of the egotisticals out there. They're the ones that, again, like it can't go without being on camera or being heard or, you know. And so Jake Tapper years ago puts out this story about, a mass shooting at some, I don't know, place, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh man, wow, that's crazy. Let me read the story and see what happened. It was like 3 people. Right. And so, not to disparage the 3 people who were injured or killed in that situation, but I wrote back to him. I go, since when is 3 people a mass shooting?
Well, then they would have been talking about that in Chicago a long time ago.
Gosh.
And it's one of the reasons why Jake Tapper's on my not so naughty list. Sorry, I'm getting Christmas vibes from the flannel.
It's Florida flannel.
He actually went and revised the headline.
Excellent.
But it goes to show you that they don't even, in some cases, they don't even realize they're doing it. No. You know, how much they're gaslighting.
That's what I mean. And I think I think on the other end of it, when they're gaslighting from the top side down, right? So from production side, when they're gaslighting from the top side down, and then on the reception side, they really are believing this because they really need to. They really want to.
They genuinely think that democracy is on the brink.
When everyone in your circle thinks that the world is going to end in 12 years,
then you sit around and sing Kumbaya.
That's all you do. And so I don't know about you, but I have a lot of Democrat friends. I have a lot of independents, and we have these conversations every once in a while, and you hear the different perspectives and everything else. I couldn't imagine being in the middle of New York City with having no perspective whatsoever and having that conversation that they are truly believing that we're all going to die in 12 years. But yet the president, the Obamas are buying Ocean View property in Martha's Vineyard. Yeah. So if that was the case, then why would you do it?
They just got a busload of new workers.
Oh my gosh. I'm so annoyed. But I think something that people are really starting to talk about right now is the fact that the wave is really starting to push a lot of the down ballot initiatives up. And I think that's something that people don't, especially in Florida, just because of how runaway the governor's race has become. At the beginning of the year, it was 3 to 5 points. In the beginning of summer, it was like 5 points up. We're now talking about like 12 to 15 points that the governor is going to win by. And if that's the case, God only knows what the down ballot's going to look like. Because that, and Lauren made fun of me a few days ago because she in one
for what?
I know for one in one car ride in 5 phone calls I had, I used the word coattails in every single sentence, every single phone call. And Lauren's like, I've never heard you say that word before. And I'm like, that's the only word I can think of to explain what's happening.
Yeah, right.
Is that because of how popular the governor is, everyone is voting down ballot. They're not voting in Christmas trees. They're voting down ballot because they're like, the governor's Republican. I like what they're doing, so we're going to vote them all in. Well, that is having huge implications around the state. And I think this is what we were going to start talking about, is that Miami-Dade is going to go red for the first time in
unbelievable
20 years?
20 plus.
And that's something that is unheard of. And so if Miami has fallen, which I love to say that, if Miami has fallen to the Republicans,
I feel a documentary in the future.
And the governor purposely picks Tampa as his victory location.
It's because Hillsboro's going to go too.
Knowing that it's going to go too, that means the only thing left for Democrats is Tallahassee and Orlando.
Right.
And we know everyone that lives in Orlando hates Orlando. So right there, you have a situation where now...
But that's where the governor's from. And if Val Demings, that's her base. If Val
he's from Pinellas.
He's from Pinellas. He went to school here.
But where are you going to hold a party that big in Pinellas?
Yeah, you're not. No, and you got to leave that to Honolulu. That's
message to the St. Petersburg City Council. You need a convention center.
A bigger convention center.
You got to leave Pinellas to Honolulu at this point. So, but the governor's coming here in Hillsborough because he wants to make a stand and say, this is we used to, going back to 2010, 2008 politics, we used to say, as goes Tampa, as goes Hillsborough, as goes the I-4 corridor, as goes Florida.
Well, and what's so funny to me is that like the governor is almost like, did you forget that you were a congressman from Jacksonville?
Right.
Like, poor Jacksonville always gets the shaft.
Oh, poor Jacksonville. I know. They have a great...
We call Miami Northern Cuba. Well, Jacksonville might as well be Southern Georgia.
But they have Jacksonville. My daughter goes to school at UNF. It is basically...
No, Lenny's great. I helped get Lenny.
So this is the larger conversation. We have all been here for a very long time. This is not our first rodeo. This is like our 5th, 6th, 72 cycle.
Hey.
And so because of
God bless Botox.
And so we just had someone comment, which I completely agree with Susan nicely. I am not getting on Hillsborough just yet. And I agree. And the reason why I agree is because same thing as Susan nicely and I have talked about. We know the voter logs. We know that the Republicans are in a deficit of like almost 40 to 50,000 votes. And I get that. But I also know the mail-in ballots are ridiculously low for Democrats. The early voting is less than 4,000 now, split between Republicans and Democrats, when we all know it's been in the 20s and 30s, and we have to kill it so much on day of. Who is excited? Republicans.
Right. Yeah.
So when I say, and I'm going to get heat for this,
the Dobbs thing died.
If Hillsborough,
January 6th died also months ago.
If Hillsborough goes red, it's because of the governor.
Yeah,
it's because of the governor.
Absolutely.
I don't care what anyone. I don't care what you want to argue with. I don't care.
Absolutely.
If you are so blind that you cannot say that the popularity of the governor is what lifted all boats up, I don't know what to tell you.
Oh no, you know there's going to be plenty of people trying to take credit for it. I mean,
and it's sad. It's sad because that means they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, but they will. Well, they don't, but they'll still take credit anyways.
That's okay.
Yeah. All right. Really quick, I wanted to pull up the event that we got from our buddy David Houston, again with Concerned Veterans for America. So it's called Sweat for a Vet. It's coming up Saturday, November 12th. That's this coming Saturday, 8:30 a.m. Again, look for Concerned Veterans for America, Florida on Facebook. They'll be the ones to, that's where you're going to find this event posted. You can also find it on the cv4a.org website. But basically, this sounds like an amazing event, especially if you're more physically inclined exercise inclined than Anibal and I.
Nope. I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow morning, but I'm not doing that.
There are very few things that I will wake up for at 8:30 in the morning, and exercise is not one of them. But Sweat for a Vet. It's Veterans Day this weekend, and they're holding this event in honor of Veterans Day. CrossFit Jaguar in Tampa. It's going to be.
That's a great organization. Small business, women-owned. That's a great organization.
Yeah, it's going to be a very cool workout. They actually also have a very special guest joining them, and that is a retired Major General James S. Hammer Hartzell. So retired Major General James S. Hammer Hartzell will be there. Sweat for a Vet with Concerned Veterans for America this Saturday, November 12th, starting at 8:30. And again, for more information, go to Concerned Veterans for America Florida on Facebook, or you can email David Houston directly at dhouston@cv4a.org. Also,
David.
yeah, don't forget to download the audio version of our podcast. And again, tomorrow, Election Day. 7 to 7. Get out there. Make sure you vote if you haven't done so already.
I will vote tomorrow.
You're voting tomorrow?
I do it in person.
I always. I don't
can't.
trust.
I don't get nervous. I don't get nervous about a lot of things, but like forgetting to or not getting time to go vote is like one of those things.
Is that you get? So you
it's
want
always-
Oh man, I get so.
get
Oh
out of the way.
yeah.
All
I don't.
right, now
No, forget
see-
it. I voted this weekend. I would like no. Just got to get it out of the way.
I am
husband
still
did
super
too.
nervous. I am super nervous about what's happening, but it's a tradition. We always go in the morning.
I'm at the same polling place I've been at since I'm 18.
Okay.
And I used to fly back from New York to vote
Wow.
here in Tampa. Same with Gasparilla, though,
Yeah.
also.
Well,
I fly
Western
back from
Union was so much
Gasparilla.
slower. I mean.
Well, yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. I forgot it. I've been working polling since 1874.
Oh, that sentence would have gone a whole different way, honestly. Could have gone a whole
Yeah,
different
you're going
way.
to pay for that in many, many forms. But yeah, no, it's a thing. I mean, even so, during the primaries, so the day before the primaries, I ended up in the emergency room.
That's right.
Oh, that's right.
And literally the next day was the primaries, and I walked in and I made my husband take me. I made my husband take
perfect
me to
example.
vote.
That's why I will not wait till election
Crazy
day.
people, but I made my husband take me in and vote. Turns out I had left my license with my daughter because she had to check me into the emergency room.
no.
So we had to make 2 trips.
Oh my God.
And he literally looked at me this weekend. He was like, "How are you not voting? You're sitting.
I'm picturing you at the polling place in the hospital room.
That was pretty much me. Yeah, but I was working a polling place this weekend, and he was like, "Go vote," and I said, "No, I'm going to do it on election day." And he
No.
just-
I was asked multiple times to go vote. I'm not voting. I'm not.
It's
And you've
election
been
day.
there. You've been like right there.
Oh,
You've
yeah.
been.
We've been there.
we were there.
We've been
We waved at the
dropping
polling
off
people.
water, food, walking around, talking to Democrats.
It's a thing.
It's
when you got to be at the convention center all day tomorrow.
so,
Yeah, that's okay. They open at 7.
Yeah, we're fine. We're fine.
See, so there are a few things
This
that
has
other
been
people will
planned.
do. Exercise at 8:30. I will actually vote at 8:30 a.m.
At 5 a.m.
Oh, I'm not doing
tomorrow
that at
morning,
5 a.m.
we will
The
be
only time I
driving
hit-
around and
no.
making sure signs are still up.
The
'cause
only
we know
time I hit
signs
5 a.m.
disappear
is on the
day
backside
of.
coming in.
Oh my
I'm sorry. What kind of person are you that messes with people's signs day of the election? It's so messed
That would be
up.
a Democrat.
It's so messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you again to Anibal David Cabrera, Kim Davis, VP of campaign
engagement, public relations.
Got
I don't
it.
know,
Sure,
whatever
she
they need
wants.
me to do.
Whatever's
Yeah,
necessary.
whatever.
The campaign of whatever needs to
she
get.
created for herself. Let's not get this twisted.
The VP of whatever needs to get done. I like that
A
better.
lot needs to get done.
Community
Community
lot
Patriots.
needs to get
Community-patriots.com is the website. Community-patriots.com. An
Thank
incredible
you.
organization out there. If anybody should be taking credit for some of these people getting elected tomorrow, it's certainly you guys.
Thanks.
And so I'm excited. I'm going to get to be on Telemundo. I'll be doing their election coverage in
speak Spanish?
Espanol. Better than you.
Oh, that's for sure. That is
Bueno.
for sure. I'm not even.
Bueno.
I can translate.
There's the white Republican road.
I can
Gracias.
translate.
Bueno.
I cannot speak it. It's so bad.
It's okay. I think they have
Oh, no,
captions.
I don't even do
I think they have
Spanglish
closed
well.
captions in English now. So
Yeah, I don't
So
even do
we have
Spanglish.
people
I just
out,
yell.
We have people out listening to the podcast right now while they're putting signs out.
I love it.
That's amazing.
Those
Shout
are
out
our
to
people.
Amanda. Okay, Amanda has been a champ at
Amanda's
at the
amazing.
Karen Pittman
Yes.
campaign. That's a really good one. Again, I think what's going to happen tomorrow is that a lot of races in Hillsborough County that you would not have thought are going to go red.
Yeah.
Because of how much the governor has been pushing. And I won't be surprised.
I love it.
D59, D60, D62, D65. That's all. If they go red, it's because of the governor.
I'll have all
I
my
don't think
cups
it's
ready
all
for those
because of
liberal
the governor,
tears.
though. I don't think it's all because of the governor. I think there are a lot of people like me who are really just offended by the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
Who,
Yeah.
I mean, if you watch anything on any news channel, it's offensive.
Yeah.
Yep.
To Republican women, and not only Republican women, but moms. It's offensive. And we forget to talk about the education part of what's on the ballot. These people want my children to, and they're okay with. Hillsborough County just approved a book that openly talks about anal sex.
Oh. Hey.
And with pictures. it's
Not cartoonish
and
either.
not cartoonish, but it's offensive to the point of these people are not watching out for our families, and moms pay attention to that.
Yeah. So tomorrow, look for Kim Davis at the governor's victory party. Very offended. If you want to come party with Anibal, Kim, and the governor, you can look for the event up on Eventbrite.
Or it would have already been sent to you.
Yeah.
But don't call me.
Don't.
But I have no access.
Johnny, you
Don't
cannot
call
just.
me.
It's not a.
It's on Eventbrite.
Yes, it's being operated through Eventbrite.
Exactly.
It's not that you can go on and find it.
I'm pretty sure you can.
Yeah, you can. It's an open event.
It's an open
public
event.
It's an
event.
open event on Eventbrite. Yep, it's open, so you can go find it.
You think I'm just divulging?
Call Anibal. Call him. He can get you access.
I'm not inviting people to the governor's mansion, for God's sakes.
Are you sure?
All right.
Are you sure?
Anibal David Cabrera, Kim Davis, Johnny Torres. That's been the show, everybody. Good night, everybody. Good night.